Hello, everyone. I'm Dr. Susan Slovin. I am a genitourinary medical oncologist at the Sidney Kimmel Center for Prostate and Urologic Cancers at Memorial Sloan Kettering Cancer Center in New York. The Gleason score has been a very long-standing measure of the level of aggressiveness within the prostate cancer biopsy. It's based on architectural features of prostate cancer cells and based on a grading system of 1 through 5, as developed by Dr. Gleason. It measures the level of disorganization, with Gleason 1 being the most representative of the normal prostatic architecture with minor changes, through what we call Gleason grade 5, which means complete disorganization and dedifferentiated cells. Please keep in mind that the greater the level of differentiation, the greater the level of housekeeping function, meaning that these cells will produce PSA. However, those that are less differentiated or more poorly differentiated, as in the Gleason 5s, and is represented by sheets of cells without any organization, the level of production of PSA is markedly diminished, often being nil. The Gleason score is a composite of the Gleason grade system. I've already alluded to the fact that we have Gleason 1 through 5, the Gleason grade 1 referring to the most differentiated, the 5 to the least differentiated. The final Gleason score is based on two numbers, based again on that Gleason grading system of 1 through 5. The first number represents the greatest percentage of that particular score, or excuse me, the particular value, which is on the 1 through 5 scale. The second number represents the least predominant on that scale, as noted. So for example, somebody who has a Gleason 6, which is what we consider to be intermediate or relatively low grade, could have based again on the Gleason grade, a 4 plus 2, a 2 plus 4, a 3 plus 3, a 1 plus 5, and a 5 plus 1, keeping in mind that that first of those two numbers represents the highest percentage on the Gleason grading system of 1 through 5, with the second being the least. If you look at all the composite scores, as we now call them, they all equal Gleason 6, but clearly the most aggressive, despite the fact that it's a Gleason 6 in intermediate or even perhaps low grade, would be 5 plus 1, because the greatest percentage that's seen on that biopsy would be a Gleason 5, again, representing the most undifferentiated and potentially the most aggressive. The least, in terms of aggressiveness on the scoring system, would be a 1 plus 5. The next aggressive would be 4 plus 2, and then 3 plus 3. So I think you can appreciate the fact that knowing the actual breakdown is imperative to knowing how the potential biologic behavior of the cancer will be. Now, to make it even more complicated, or perhaps uncomplicated, there have been a lot of discussions about breaking that scoring down further, that some institutions are having difficulty in really the interpretation, and that there still might be some nuances as to whether something could be a Gleason 4 or 5. And so Dr. Epstein from Hopkins has actually led an effort to switch all of these to what we call Gleason groups. And instead of having the breakdown, they're actually using it as a summary that a Gleason group 5 would represent the most aggressive, such as a Gleason 9 or 10. Group 4 could be an 8, group 3 can be a 7, and so on. So while we still use the Gleason scoring system, the idea behind the Gleason groups is just to make life a lot easier for people in terms of really getting a better handle on not looking at nuance, but looking at overall biologic behavior.